let's get going. We have another show. We have a few exciting topics to discuss. Obviously, we have the crypto dump caused by Germany. We don't really have any Germans on here. I was looking in the who in the company can we go to, but yeah, didn't really work. So Germany has been dumping on us. We're going to discuss this. We have the fear around Mount Gox. We have Jerome Powell coming out being a bit cautious, bit bullish, whatever. We can interpret that a bit. We're going to have a very interesting disconnect between the stock market and crypto. So that's definitely interesting to discuss. We're going to discuss the ETFs, Solana, Ethereum. There's some interesting things there. And then let's see where this discussion takes us. Obviously, I have a few exciting big updates that I want to share. We're going to raffle off something nice. So make sure you stay until the end for that as well. Cool. With that, Fabio, how are you doing, sir? Happy Wednesday. Give us a bit of the bird's eye view. What do you see from your side before we dive into the topics in a bit more granular manner?
Yeah, definitely the disconnect between the stock market and between crypto is definitely something worth noting, and something that is a bit worrisome to some crypto investors. I guess the main blame is directed to Germany, but I'm not so sure, because I think they dumped 17,000 Bitcoin in a single day, and the price didn't care at all. We saw a bit, so that Mount Gox news, when it came out, the anticipation of it actually led to a sell-off. But if you look at the actual data of how many Bitcoins it is probably not going to have a big impact. Just if you compare this to...
Do you have some numbers?
I don't know it out of the top of my head, but I've listened to a podcast where they went through all the numbers. Let me actually check while we talk on how many Bitcoins that
I thought it was around. If I remember, I think it was close to 200,000 or something. No, I thought it was like or 180 or something.
I think it's 9 billion
in
dollars.
Total. Yep.
Let me see. Yeah, 140,000 Bitcoin.
40,000. Okay.
But if you spread that out, so the channels that I followed, if you spread that out, it's going to happen over the course of like 6 to 9 months or so. And if you just looked at when Germany sold 17,000 Bitcoin, and they didn't even do that in a sophisticated manner, they basically market dumped them. It looks like some boomer had like full control of these coins. And they basically, I think they used 3 different exchanges. I think they used Kraken, Coinbase, and one other exchange.
Bitstamp.
And they didn't even create market orders. They just dumped them. And at one point, they even bought some back. And I think around, they started with 50,000 and they...
Yeah, but this buying back, I thought, wasn't really a buyback, right? As far as I understood, I mean, there was like conflicting information. It was more on they send it there, then transferred it back and send it to Cumberland or something, I think, rather to trade this OTC or something. I thought that was the story. And then rumors were that this was actually Justin Sun, like who before was shilling that he was going to buy, and then he actually bought. Then people tried to trace this a bit, and then it was like, no, this was just blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It was like all over the kind of craziness here.
Yeah, like the thing that is most baffling to me is how little of an impact it actually had. Like the day they sold the biggest chunk, the 17,000 Bitcoin, the price didn't even move at all. Like we were completely stable at 56 or 57,000, which is, I think, extremely bullish. And the thing that we kind of need to keep in mind as an investor, so you have unknowns and known knowns, and I think, like Mount Gox and Germany are definitely known knowns. So the likelihood that these events are priced in and don't really impact the market are quite high. Like I don't think we are going to see a major sell-off just because of these 2 things. There could be other things, unknowns, that would have a negative or a positive impact. But I think we already saw the worst of the Mount Gox and Germany news.
I mean, there were a lot of back and forth on Twitter and like in groups where people were like Germany should hodl those bitcoins, and then I think today this article came out. I think that these bitcoins actually belong to Saxonia, Sachsen in German, where the story there is that selling those off is completely normal. I mean, this is what would happen, for example, to the confiscated yachts as well from when that happened during the from the Russians and so on. What are different stories, the pros and cons? What's your opinion on this a bit? Yeah,
I guess in hindsight, this is definitely gonna be a mistake. That because they, if they would hold on to this for, I don't know, I think they are already up by a huge amount, because I don't know when exactly they seized this, but
yeah. These are the movie 2K bitcoins. Yeah, let me
exactly,
quickly. Yeah,
I would say 217 probably, 216 maybe. So it's quite a while ago when they retired this website. But I would be interested in the exact timing. So they're definitely up on their confiscation a lot. But I don't know. Look, I mean, Trump and the Republican Party in the United States are talking to, are suggesting that Bitcoin could be a strategical reserve asset, and it would make sense for, you know, governments or the Fed or government entities to actually hold it for a longer period of time. And then on the other hand, you have Germany selling huge amounts of Bitcoin. I think we are way too early for, let's say, G20 governments to kind of realize what this is and how it could benefit them. Of course, this is going to take, I don't know, probably another 10 years or so before we, you know, come into the vicinity that bigger governments are you know, stepping into a game like that. But I'm not sure if what are your thoughts on this? Is this you said, yeah,
yeah, I mean, I belong into this category that I obviously think that if you hold Bitcoin for the long term, you're probably going to gain in purchase power. And still, I do understand why the German government or the state government is selling this for the very simple reason. Imagine the price goes to 500,000, then there's going to be, let's say, about 100,000 people who are going to be like, oh, you see, we told you, blah, blah, blah. And but if the Bitcoin price goes from 50,000 right now, or let's say 60,000 down to, let's say, 30,000, there's going to be 79.9 million people complaining. So risk reward for those politicians, and we all know this, politicians are very risk averse. I think it's yeah, sadly, a very kind of rational move. It's the risk averse move, and yeah, so that's it. It is what it is, and yeah, I mean, to be
the
honest,
most,
if we compare this with yachts, right? If they sell off the yacht, then most people wouldn't care. But other people may say, hey, but those yachts, they would go up in price. So why are you selling them? And but yeah, we're not in the yacht market. We are in the Bitcoin market, and I think that's why we care.
the most bullish thing to me is like one by one we are checking off these, I don't know, some people would call it a black swan, where they say, okay, look, the United States, or I think Bulgaria and Germany and other governments, they own a huge amount of Bitcoin, or you have Mount Gox, and a lot of thought is out there that news publications, they say, hey, look, if they come out and if they dump their Bitcoin, it's going to have a super negative effect on the price. And one by one, we are kind of checking them off and taking them off the list. So you have a lot of external factors or big entities that are basically striped off, which for me is very bullish. I think just the fact that we were able to hold on to, let's say, the 56, 50, 54, I think was the local low,
Yeah.
and we made that support. I think it's very bullish. Now the question is, I guess, more the discrepancy between the Nasdaq, the S&P 500, equities in general, and crypto. Why that is? Is it just because of the Mt. Gox news? Is it just because of Germany selling, or what would your
I mean,
number one guess
Yeah, so the interesting thing was when you compared the charts of the Nasdaq, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, and you looked at them. I mean, right now Bitcoin and Ethereum are up again, but if you looked at them about a week ago, it was very interesting. All of them had about the same return year to date, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the Nasdaq all had about the same return. I think all three were about 25% up. And so it was very interesting to see that a bit, right? So because many people are saying that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not really digital gold, that they're not really oil or something. They're just a tech play. So they're basically a Nasdaq play. That's it. And so it was so interesting to kind of see how all of them kind of overlaid and were very much in line there. So one of the explanations could simply be that if you believe that Bitcoin and Ethereum is a tech play, that it just dropped down in return because it was up so much in the months before. So that could be one explanation. Another explanation is that if you actually look at the Nasdaq and you look at the S&P, it's not so much that most stocks in there are up. It's actually a super small group of stocks, mainly the AI stocks, and now lately also Tesla, who has really been helping those indices to perform well. If you then look, however, into the details there, you actually see that most stocks are not doing so well. It's just a few outliers that are doing insanely well, mainly the AI part and mainly some of the tech stocks. And here you just have to kind of admit that some of those stocks just have some really, really good returns and or earnings. And so their fundamentals are very strong. Obviously, a lot of hopium included, especially with Tesla. I mean, we're going to discuss this as well. So that could be a bit of the explainer here. So it's at least from my side where maybe most stocks should also be going down. And there's, I think Goldman brought out this report that July 17th or something in 7 days, there should be like if you look at history and there you would have a week August and July 17th always was this key day where everything kind of shifted a bit with the cycle. I don't know. These are at least the things that I've been hearing. What are the other points? What are your thoughts? What are points that you have?
So just to put some numbers on the point that you just mentioned, if you look, for example, at the S&P 500, we had a year there, it's up almost 18% year to date. And if you would exclude Nvidia from the S&P 500, it would only be up 11%. So
Wow.
about 1/3 of the
Mhm.
total return of the S&P
It's
500
just
is
Nvidia.
one single company.
Wow.
And I think, there are a lot of similarities between what's happening in, let's say, equities and crypto, because for a majority of crypto investors, the situation looks very similar. There is only a handful of coins that actually performed this year. Like you have the outliers, of course, the newcomers like the Telegram coin Ton. You have Ethereum and Solana that did well. You have Bitcoin that did well, of course, because of the ETFs. But if you look at, let's say, number 5 to number 25 on coin market cap, like coins like XRP, ADA, DOT, Avalanche, and so on, they didn't do well at all. And a majority of crypto investors they are not buying an index. They are buying single coins because there isn't, like, of course, on Kate, you have somewhat of an index with the smart bundles. But most people, they buy single coins, and usually their allocation is very altcoin heavy. And if you just look at the sentiment in general, the crypto sentiment is actually not that great because only a handful of tokens, only a handful of coins actually enjoyed gains this year. And the same is true for stocks. If you look at the Russell 2000, or if you exclude the Magnificent Seven or the top 10 companies in the S&P 500, the S&P 500 didn't do well at all.
Yep.
So I'm not so sure what's the underlying reason for both of this is. I've listened to Blockworks, and there was an economist that said, if you would exclude these top 10 companies out of the S&P 500, we would be in a recession right now. And it's just those companies basically carrying the rest, which is super interesting to me.
Sounds reasonable.
And maybe to bridge this is when we are looking ahead. So we have a Fed meeting in July and we have one in September. And this is, of course, connected to global liquidity. And what Rawl Paul says here is you basically want to be in the assets that track the global liquidity the best. These are high risk, magnificent seven, like Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Google, and so on. And of course, on the crypto side as well. And we might just see the M2 or the global liquidity pick up towards the later part of this year, maybe September onwards. But what would happen to the rest of the market? I'm not so sure. I'm also not so confident when it comes to these stocks.
What do you think about Tesla right now? I think it's a good transition point here. Tesla has been ripping. People are talking about, people are talking about new all-time highs, obviously. Still a bit a way to go.
So
But what do you see there?
out of all the magnificent 7, 8, whatever number you want to give it, it was the worst performer. It basically had 18 months of sideways to down movement, and a lot of people were very frustrated. And there's like 3 things maybe to mention. Like there was an all-time high when it comes to shorts, and we definitely saw a short squeeze playing out. It's still playing out. The short interest on Tesla is still insane. You have what's very interesting in Tesla is the majority of investors are actually retail investors. It's not that this is TradFi or Wall Street that is mainly driving Tesla price. It's mainly retail investors, and there might be a discrepancy in how do you value Tesla. A lot of the Wall Street are looking at Tesla and they see a car company, and a lot of retail people are looking at Tesla and they see a robotics company, an energy company, an AI company, a car company, and it's kind of hard to put it in a bucket. And then you have, of course, 8th of August is they want to unveil their, I think, full self-driving or RoboCab. It's always a bit of a mystery what exactly they are going to unveil. And Elon is, of course, pushing hard when it comes to obliterating shorts, when it comes to full self-driving, when it comes to Optimus, their robot. They have a very interesting energy play. So it's definitely a very exciting company. And I don't know. I actually was very lucky to get an entry. We were talking about this 2 months ago or so. And I have had a bit of an entry in the, I don't know, $150 area or so. But one last point maybe. Nancy Pelosi sold like 500,000, 500,000 of Tesla shares just a few days ago before it pumped. So maybe she lost her
dude,
cool. And
she's actually underperforming the S&P this year. I don't know if she does this on purpose or whatever, but she's underperforming the S&P, so she's definitely not. Maybe she's gonna catch up a bit, but
like my theory on this is her husband has like a brain thing. No, like there was this incident,
don't know.
and this was like a year ago or so, and before that they were like she was lucky, or she had like a good hand picking her stocks. Some people would accuse her of insider trading, but she actually did extremely well with her picks. Like usually when she bought something, it pumped afterwards. And about a year ago, when this brain thing happened to her husband, she kind of lost her game, and now she's underperforming the market. But it's pure speculation.
Okay, give me the inside story on that Solana ETF thing. You posted this on Slack. I didn't fully understand what was new about this, and I told you I'm gonna ask you here, not there. So yeah, just wanted to understand that.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what a 19B4S filing is. That's what happened. Both VanEck and 21 shares. So 21 shares, I think, is Katie Woods. They officially filed a 19B4S filing for the Solana ETF. And I think there is like 3 parties right now, or 4, that are filing or looking into a Solana ETF. And for me, it's obvious that this is the next thing. Like when we saw the Bitcoin ETF, everybody was looking at the Ethereum ETF, and right now, everybody's looking at the Solana ETF. I think it's probably going to take BlackRock to really move the needle. At least that was the case when it comes to, or Fidelity and BlackRock. At least that was the case for both the Bitcoin and the Ethereum ETF. But it's an obvious next move that Solana is basically next in line for an ETF. And I think currently it's super exciting what is happening in the Solana ecosystem. We Julian and myself, we talked a bit that off camera, I think last week or so, but I'm currently pretty excited when it comes to the Solana ecosystem just because of the raw numbers. So for example, let's look into fee generation, when Solana fee generation. So Ethereum currently does 50 to 60% more fees than Solana, but Solana has like almost a 10x gap in valuation when it comes to comparing the fee revenue that they make. And the thing with Solana is that fees are actually super low, but the volume is high and everything happens on layer one, while Ethereum is sort of outsourcing a lot to layer twos. And you have like the Jupiter, the DEX that Solana has, or the app that does insane amounts of volumes, insane amount of transactions. You have all these meme coins there. So I guess it's really when you just look at the raw numbers, like daily active users, and like the average user on Solana has like 30 transactions or so a day. It's pretty wild. Of course, there's a lot of
wild.
automated and a lot of bot transactions, and a lot of this is driven by meme coins. But it's pretty insane, the activity and the growth that they currently have. And they keep out pushing new feature like Firestarter that is about to release at the end of the year. So it's definitely a lot of exciting things happening in Solana. Not sure if they're going to get an ETF. You're pretty sure that it's going to be next year and not this year, right?
This year, I completely I give this less than 1% chance. I even struggle believing it's going to happen next year. But this would be a possible time frame. Let's say it like this. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Ethereum ETF? When is it going to come? Will it have a positive impact? Is there going to be demand? Yeah.
I am fairly certain it's going to happen in July. I hope it's going to come this week, but we're in Wednesday now. I do think there's going to be demand. It's going to be less demand than on Bitcoin, but I have quite an Ethereum bag, so I hope this thing is going to pump my bag.
I think the sentiment currently around Ethereum is a bit weird. It's somewhat fallen out of love. Just if you look at sentiment and online, and a lot of people are, excited about other things in other ecosystems, but it truly has established its place. It's somewhat in a weird teenage spot. It's growing up, and it's kind of, it's not 100% sure what identity and what race it's in, but it's, on the other hand, it's crystallizing that it has its place. It's getting its ETF. It has, the most total value locked. But there isn't this hype around Ethereum that we had maybe 4 years ago or in 2017. Like the flipping narrative, for example, I never encounter people that say this currently, while 4 years ago this was talked on Twitter daily.
Yeah.
And I think it might have a big comeback with the ETF, or with like the cycle actually like getting started, with liquidity coming back. But right now there's a lot of other smaller narratives that are basically stealing the show. Right now, I would say one of the hottest things, or the hottest places in crypto, is probably Telegram and everything around Ton and Not and all these games and bots
that is
that are
so insane.
happening.
I see this. I think it's so insane.
Yeah, it's I don't know, definitely something exciting, something new, but hard to really put a hand on. And Solana, of course, and the meme sector has a lot of excitement. Narrative wise, I think I saw that on a podcast as well. They looked at some data when it comes to the current narrative. So definitely gaming and AI had a good run this year, and RWA, so real world assets. But the interest, especially for real world assets, kind of peaked in April. Gaming and AI, they're a bit on the verge of, are they going to give a big comeback? And then the deciding fact, I guess, which narrative is the one to bet on, is more going to be decided I would say towards, I don't know, end of September or October. I really hope. I don't know. So I think the CME gives a current probability of 75% for a rate cut in September. Is what you see when it comes to the Fed cutting rates.
Yeah, I mean, I believe September. I don't see July. And then, I mean, there's also the story where people then say we're going to see like 6 to 8 cuts in a row because it's going to be panic and the market has to really, the Fed really has to cut. But again, that's, I'm just kind of regurgitating what I see a bit out there.
The thing is, previously, like during the rate hike phase, the market was exceptionally spot on. When they said it's going to be a hike, it was a hike. When they said it's going to be a pause, it was a pause. But since then, the market was consistently wrong. I remember when we go back a year, there was like a 90% chance that May was the time that the Fed is going to cut. And now we're in July and we still haven't cut. And now the needle is basically moving towards the end of the year. And there is only, so it's July, September, and November. There's 3 meetings left, right?
July, September, no, November and December. December also.
Okay, so yeah, probably maybe 1 or 2 rate cuts still on the table. And I think that Jerome Powell, he came out and he said, wait, I'm going to quote this. He said, Jerome Powell says data does not support the greater confidence in inflation path that the Federal Reserve needs to cut rates. So I think, and he's referring to July, because yeah, they're looking at the current data, and the data can obviously still change until September.
Yeah, of course. I mean, who knows? This is still a long way out. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I actually am impressed how much activity we actually see despite it being summer. I mean, we're in the mid of July. Normally, July is on a bit of a quieter time. What are the things that we have out there, or is it more? Is that it? And we should be glad that we have some stuff and not full laziness.
Bigger, there aren't really bigger news out there than the things that we've already mentioned, or any bigger outliers of so maybe we can cut this session a bit shorter when it comes to macro and do maybe a 10-minute session on the company itself. How are we doing there? There's still going to be a giveaway. And maybe let me let me be a bit shameless here. So 10 days ago or so, we launched a new feature on Bake. Called custom bundles. And custom bundle is basically that the community can create their own, let's say ETF is probably a bit better. They understand that better, or ETP. You can make a bundle and you can say, look, it's going to be 10% Bitcoin, 20% Ethereum, 50% Solana, 20% Dogecoin, whatever. You can basically put 10 coins, minimum of 2, maximum of 10 in there, and design everything yourself, like what's in there and so on. So we launched that 10 days ago, and we saw huge interest. I did my own bundle, of course. It's called Fabius Hopium Bundle, and I'm going to be shilling it here. But the funny thing is, there's currently 2 bundles that are the most popular. And we have a bit of an internal competition because as of yesterday, I think today it changed. As of yesterday, Firat's bundle was the number 1 bought bundles in.
And what's Firat's bundle? We need to mention it as well, to be fair.
His bundle is called It's All About Cash Flow. So he has a bunch of staking coins and coins in there that give you cash flow, like Ethereum, Solana, DeFi Chain, Near, I think a few others, Cardano, and so on. Basically, all his coins that he added to the bundle, they give you a yield on a daily basis. And my bundle is basically super conservative. I think it's going to outperform, of course, because it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and a bit of gold. So a very conservative bundle, but I'm a conservative investor, and I think slow and steady wins the race. So, you need to help me to outperform Fiat. I know Fiat is doing chat as well. So go buy my bundle. It's just we're not really earning something with this or so. It's just for fun. Like every meeting we have daily catch-ups where we briefly give updates to each other on every day, and we basically just tease each other and have this little competition between ourselves, which bundle is going to outperform. And here as well, if you want to join the race, create your own bundle and join the race. It's a lot of fun, and it's funny to see what people come up with. And there will be rankings, which bundle is going to perform better, which bundle is going to be bought more than others, and so on. So yeah, go create your bundle or buy my bundle. It's one of the two. You can also buy Fiat's bundle, of course.
Cool. Yeah, and the way you find out about those bundles is you need to follow the people, because at the moment we don't have a page or something where you can click on that. We do this on purpose, so there's really some kind of natural adoption. So that's the way to do it. So you need to follow Fabio, Ferrat, or all the other people when they shared. I shared a list of some bundles on my Twitter account. People are asking if I have a bundle. I don't. That's just intentional because I don't want to, I don't know, be the company, the CEO, and have my own bundle or something. That makes no sense. So it's a lot of people having that. So that makes more sense in my opinion. I'll probably reshare a tweet with a bit of an overview of the bundles, and then so you can have a bit of an idea on what's out there. In general, on Friday, I'm gonna make a video where I share a bit on the numbers of the first half of our 90 days. I'm happy also to talk a bit about next week on this. I don't want to kind of share this today because we're going to talk about it a bit on Friday. I just want to share a few kind of general ideas. Obviously, in those first 43, let's say 45 days, the market really hasn't been in our favor. And we can feel this a bit. We worked really, really hard. The results haven't been there what I would love it to be, but I think we have some really solid results. But obviously, in order to have better results, I wish the market would be a bit more in our favor. But we've had Bitcoin is down sometimes 25% from the top, or actually 25% down in the last months. So it's not the ideal kind of time to really have some kind of hype. So that is a bit painful. But yeah, the team is still very kind of committed, optimistic. They all kind of see a bit that, everyone has been working hard. We've been launching so many exciting things in those 1.5 months. And the team is really kind of looking forward to the next kind of steps. There's going to be a video coming out today talking about that. We want to have bank transfers for purchasing crypto. It's something a lot of people want. We are adding more and more coins, so that's going to be a really key thing. And then obviously working on the tax efficiency. So that's, I think, really, really crucial. The USDT thing is going to happen for European customers. With that, we're probably going to stop bridging USDT for DeFi chain altogether, just because I do foresee some issues there otherwise. And we're going to make a final decision on this. But to me, this is a sad reality at the moment, just because it's going to impact us on too many fronts. So just kind of prepare yourself a bit for this. We're going to send out a lot of emails to kind of notify people. There's no deadline at the moment when we're not going to accept USDT anymore from DeFi chain. So it's just that we stopped the minting of USDT because there are just some issues from a regulatory standpoint, and we don't want to run into that. And look, it's a risk reward, and it is what it is there. We don't make those decisions. It's actually getting pushed on us by regulators and so on. So just a bit of a heads up, but this is but everything is still possible with USDC, so no change there. Other than that, look, I hope you look at our bundles, our offerings, our services. That would be really cool. We have this really cool promotion going on. I get to raffle off. Let me just raffle this off here. I get to raffle off another winner. So the way this works, I add all these numbers here. These correspond to users, and so the reason we have sometimes 4 and sometimes 3, because sometimes it wouldn't be unique enough. So let's save this, and bam. So this number is winning 9721, and then there's 2 hidden numbers for your privacy. Let me screenshot that so the team also has it. Amazing. Congratulations. The CS team will reach out to you. Please be always careful that you don't get scammed. We had this fun message last time where someone was like, hey, stop contacting me. I know you're a scammer, but actually it was legitimate CS. And then the person was like, oh, that's amazing. I won. But always be extra careful, please, so that you don't fall for any tricks. So the money will get deposited to your account. There's nothing you have to do about this. So if you want to participate as well, log into the app. There are instructions in how to participate, and then get going. So yeah, that's my part of the update. Fabio, anything else from your side?
The only thing that I want to mention is so if you have feedback when you miss something in the app, there is actually on the homepage when you open the app, there is a little section where you can track the progress, like the features that we have planned and that we are going to ship are listed there with a little bit of a progress bar. And at the bottom of this list, you will see a button to submit request. And if you have something that you think is missing, be it a listing of a coin that you're particularly excited about, or a feature, or a bug, or whatever that you want to see within the app, please open the app, go to that little part, and submit your request. If you are looking for a bundle like Therat's bundle or my bundle that you cannot seem to find within the app, please feel free to drop me a DM. Be it here on Twitter, be that on Telegram, or reach out to our customer support team. Think about creating your own bundle because it's probably going to take you 10 minutes. Of course, like you can create a bit of an image. I would suggest using AI for this, but and a description, a title, and you kind of need to know what coins or what tokens you want to have in that bundle. And it doesn't cost you anything. And especially if you are a bit, let's say, a diversified investor and you have like 5, 6, 7 tokens that you regularly DCA into, consider building your own bundle and just, slapping 7 flies with one clap, because on Bake, you basically can set up your DCA and invest into all of these tokens at the same time. Other than that, just the regular housekeeping. So this video is recorded. You can find it with video on YouTube. It will be on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and of course on Twitter. So if you missed the beginning, where we mainly talked about macro, Tesla, Nvidia, and the Fed, you can definitely skip to the beginning again and make sure that you don't miss that. And I think we're going to be back with the usual time next week.
Yeah, no, it has to be an hour earlier. I had to change that, so I just next week, and then I think we can be back to the normal time. It's just because I have such appointment collisions on Wednesday otherwise.
Cool. That's it from my side. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thanks everyone,
and see you all next week.
See you all next week. Appreciate it. Have a good week. Thanks, Fabio.